Hello, everyone. This is the first of hopefully some, but definitely the negative, but the first emergency stream, so to speak. Since the onset of this show, we have said that if there's an imminent player leaving, big news regarding someone coming in or leaving, we will host an emergency stream to discuss it. And we found it our first excuse today in the now transfer saga of Grady Diangana. As always, I'm joined by Irish Tommy. I imagine you're not doing too well, but anyway, how are you?
I'm fucking furious, Chris, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely furious. Um, the news obviously broke a few hours ago, but I just can't believe it, to be honest. I'm genuinely just, um, like I said to you in the last podcast, I'm kind of numb to a lot of what's going on now because it's been going on for so long. But this is different. This now has really riled me up today. I won't lie.
Yeah. And so, obviously, for anyone who potentially, for some reason, hasn't heard the news or hasn't been on Twitter today,
Who's just got back from Earth orbit or something?
exactly. There has been a bid from West Brom for Grady Diangana for around 18 million pounds, and it has been accepted by the club. Now, while the transfer has not gone through yet, it has not been confirmed. Grady Diangana is yet to agree to terms with West Brom. It is looking very likely. And so that's just to catch you all up. And basically, that's why we're here. We're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about the feelings on Twitter. We're here to talk about what it all means, what the state of this club is now going forward, especially now that one of the bright spots for this upcoming season is going potentially.
Yeah, and just for clarity, this is not 18 million pounds up front. This is 12 million up front, potentially rising to between 18 and 20. We're not getting all of that money. That will not all come to pass. So what we eventually get, all in all, remains to be seen. But the initial fee is 12 million. And I just can't believe that the club have accepted this bid. It makes no sense whatsoever to me. It's a derisory offer, really. Even in the current market, it's a pointless sale at that price. And I'm furious about it. That this is a youngster who's come through our academy, made some first team appearances, did quite well. Was obviously raw. He was young. Not strong enough, not experienced enough. So we send him out on loan for a season to the Championship. He's an absolute star in the Championship for West Brom and played a huge role in getting them promoted to the Premier League. So we get back this player who's much better than he was when he left, one of the stars of the Championship, in a position where we really need someone like him, because Anderson did nothing on the left wing all season. Fornals, bless him, worked very hard out there, did his best, but he's not a left midfielder. And so we have this perfect solution. This is like going out and spending 20 million on a really great Championship left midfielder who has all the attributes we're looking for, except he was already ours and was going to cost us nothing and was going to really add to the team next season. And then we sell him to West Brom for 12 fucking million up front? Like, what are you doing? This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And the worst thing about this is, it's entirely possible that we're going to sell Diangana to West Brom, who, by the way, may end up down the line being a fucking relegation rival. And we've got a player that we sold them who could be winning points for them to put them ahead of us on the table and put us in real shit. That's how fucking stupid our owners are. And the worst thing is, if we use the money from selling him to go out and get Saeed Benrahma. I mean, what's the fucking point? We have a player already who was every bit as good as Benrahma last season and who's already got Premier League experience and who came through our academy, who wants to be here. Even if it ended up being money-wise a straight swap for him and Benrahma, what's the point?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. There's several bits of this that piss me off like more than others. The first thing though that pisses me off is that Moyes doesn't want him to go, and so we have not backed Moyes one bit this transfer window with any sort of funds, anything at all. And then immediately when the first bid comes in for a player that he wants to keep, he's off. He's off. It doesn't
Yeah.
make it.
I'll,
It just.
I'll tell you the only way there's only two ways this can possibly make sense. One of them you could kind of live with, the other absolutely not. The first thing is it could be a case where Moyes does want to keep him, would ideally like to sell Anderson or Lanzini or someone like that to fund whatever left back or centre back he wants to get in, but those bids aren't coming. And so maybe he's saying, okay, fuck it, maybe we just have to sell Diangana and use that money to get in a left back and a centre back. If that's what we do with the money, I'll still be pissed off that we sold Diangana. Not at Moyes, because I could understand his thinking there. If he feels that we just need a left back and centre back more than we need Diangana, I don't necessarily agree with selling Diangana for that reason. We should be keeping him at all costs. But at least playing devil's advocate, I could kind of understand the thinking there. But my fear here is that this stinks of Will Salthouse to me. Because I know for a fact Will Salthouse is heavily involved in this transfer, even though he's not an agent of Diangana. I know he's heavily involved in trying to broker this transfer of Diangana to West Brom. And the only reason I can imagine he's doing that is because we would be replacing him with his player, Saeed Benrahma. So Will Salthouse gets his pockets lined, Benrahma gets his pocket lined, and somewhere along the way, I'm sure Golden Sullivan gets something out of this too. So this kind of stinks to me. If we replace Grady with Benrahma, you can be absolutely certain this whole deal fucking stinks to high heaven.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're told that Moyes is not happy and that he does not want Diangana sold suggests to me that that's what's going to happen, that he'll be replaced with Benrahma. And it fucking stinks. And frankly, we should riot if that happens.
Yeah, I know that there's been reports since the very beginning of the window. One of the very first names I have on that Excel sheet is Saeed Benrahma. So we've been linked with him since the very beginning. But what pisses me off is that we're in essence selling Grady Diangana, who, albeit limited experience in the Premier League, he's done phenomenal in the Championship. He's earned the right to test himself in our squad in the Premier League now. But now we're going to be selling him, bringing in Benrahma, who's unproven in the Premier League. And then on top of that, we're told, oh, we're going to buy, with this, we're also going to buy a left back and a center back. But on top of that, we're also going to be paying Aller's installments. I just don't see how you can stretch 12 to 20 million into that, especially because I imagine Benrahma is going to go 12, 15 million. And then on top of that, we don't have anybody lined up. On the podcast, X was talking about, they're saying that there's going to be news coming in the coming days about players who we're in advanced negotiations with. That just sounds like it's trying to keep people at bay. Like, we're doing our jobs, even though they're not. don't. They're holding off on Rico Henry. So who's the left back target and who's the center back target?
Yeah, listen, I nearly choked on my tea when X mentioned the Rico Henry thing. This thing that we're not sure on Rico Henry yet. And I'm thinking, it's fucking September. Like, what are we doing? If you're looking at a player during the season, which we would have been looking at Rico Henry, by the time the season ends and the transfer window opens, you should have your ducks in a row. You could say, okay, we scouted these players, we don't want these players, we don't fancy them. But here's the list of players that we do like and that are our transfer targets for the summer. How the fuck are you going to be sitting around in the first week of September saying, well, we're not sure about this player? You should be sure one way or another. This just goes to show again the absolute fucking shambles of a club we are. We don't have a scouting network. So we don't have our ducks in a row at the end of the season. Everything's up in the air. It seems to me our transfer policy has been decided almost privately between Sullivan and his fucking buddies like Will Salthouse, his agent buddies. Oh yeah, I've got a great player here I can sell you. Will Salthouse is there, so oh yeah, you definitely want Ben Rama. Great player. I can get you Ben Rama, at a decent price and all this. And this is not how you run a fucking football club. It's a joke. An absolute joke.
We've been saying that.
How the fuck do we not know whether we like Rico Henry or not in the first week of fucking September? They had all season to fucking look at him.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's top to bottom. None of this makes any damn sense to me. None whatsoever.
Just cluelessness all around. And here, especially with this Diangana deal, like for that money, like I could half understand if it was like money we couldn't refuse. If they'd come in and said, look, 20 million on the table, bang. At least there you could make some kind of argument for it to say, look, we can stretch that quite a long way, but like, Jesus Christ, 12 million plus whatever few quid might be in the kitty. We haven't even paid fucking Haller's installments yet. Have to find that money before we end up getting a fucking transfer ban. It's an absolute fucking joke the way this club is run. Absolute joke. And the sooner they go, the better. And if we have to wait, probably will, till 2023, let's just hope we're still surviving at that point and hanging on by our fingernails to our Premier League status. Because those guys are a joke. And selling Diangana to buy Ben Rama, I mean, let's put it this way. Diangana doesn't want to leave. Moyes doesn't want Diangana to leave. The fans don't want Diangana to leave. So why the fuck is he leaving? So that Sullivan can look after his fucking mate, Will Salthouse.
Yeah. And that's the thing that infuriates me most, is that a kid who wants to be here, who's been here his entire professional career, who wants to be at West Ham, who wants to be a West Ham player, is not getting his chance to prove himself. And for me, if I'm Diangana, after all of this, after saying, oh yeah, go prove yourself in the championship, come back and you'll be given a spot in the club. Now just to be told right before the season starts, oh, we're going to sell you for 12 million. Why the hell would he want to come back to us?
Exactly. And how does that look to other academy graduates? That is not a good look. And we're looking to find loan deals for the likes of Cardoso and Zande Silva. We've one fucking out-and-out striker at the club, and we're trying to loan out Zande Silva.
Yeah. That is the thing that also pissed me off with that podcast. Our current striker lineup is Allaire, Antonio, and Zande Silva providing some coverage. He's about to go off. Antonio gets injured every few matches. The hell are we going to do if Allaire's by himself and he gets injured. We literally have no strikers.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around the way this club is run. A genuine shambles. And I'm telling you, like, I hope the club, or Sullivan, I should say, changes his mind on this Diangana to West Brom thing, because you know damn well they have to know the meltdown that's been happening on Twitter for the last few hours. They have to know. They have to know the strength of feeling of the fan base. And deals have collapsed before because of fan outrage.
Yeah.
You know, we were supposed to sign Joey Barton, and there was a huge backlash from the fan base, and that fell through. You know, so it has happened before. There was someone else, El Hadj Diouf, I think, was another player who we were looking to sign a few years back. Um, he'd played for Big Sam. Was it Big Sam? He played for at Bolton, and there was a massive fan backlash because everybody hated him. So that fell through because of fan backlash. So the only thing I'm kind of hanging my hat on here is if we keep this going, keep this outrage going on social media, and make sure that Gold and Sullivan know that if they sell Diangana to West Brom, that there's going to be a huge backlash, maybe even outside their fucking houses. Then hopefully we can put a stop to this fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I know that they were saying that they can't get any bids whatsoever for Anderson and Lanzini. But yet again, that also just kind of Lanzini, I cut them a complete break on that one solely because of that freak injury. That one, it's derailed his career, and he's tainted goods at this point. With the whole Anderson situation, though, why did we end up paying him that much money though? If he's obviously not that good.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, none of us were involved in signing Felipe Anderson, so you know that was Pellegrini wanted him. They went and got him. We knew from the Lazio fans that he had lots of talent, but was inconsistent. Now, in his first season, he was inconsistent, but he played well enough, often enough, that I thought, okay, this I can live with. You know, he does have some quiet games, fair enough, but when he's hot, he's fucking hot. Unfortunately, last season, for whatever reason, barring outside of a couple of games, 3 or 4 games maybe, he was really bad all season. I don't know why that happened, because I was really looking forward to seeing him last season, because I thought, you know, he did pretty well first season. Showed a lot of promise, and I thought he would kick on in that second season. But obviously, look, the wheels fell off that entire season for more than just Anderson, you know. So I don't know what's going on. I suspect at this point he just doesn't even want to be here. I think he wants to leave. I don't think he's settled in. So I suspect we won't ever see the Anderson that we paid for. So
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Which is you know, another brings us back to Diangana again. Why you sell Diangana? He's the one player we have now that we can put out in that left wing who can actually really do something out there and really cause problems for our opponents. Haller loves him. Haller tweeted the other day how excited he was to play alongside Diangana. You know, because he's laying on assists for him all over the place in the preseason. And Haller's thinking, fuck yeah, I can do with this all next season. And now Haller's probably seen today on social media, we've accepted a bid of 12 million from West Brom. He's probably hanging his head going, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. I had seen another thing too was with the whole Grady wants to be here. He was commenting on Declan Rice's Instagram posts, talking about how great it is to be back and how he loves playing with Rice still. He wants to be a part of this squad. Why are we not keeping players that want to be part of this squad and fight for the badge?
Because of David Sullivan. There's no other answer to any of our problems. It's David Sullivan. It's from the top down. He's just a toxic fucking dildo Baggins and just needs to get the fuck out of our club. And
yeah,
look, no one likes him. No one wants these people at our club. Listen, the situation we're in right now is overall is just complete fucking shambles because listen, we've been in the Premier League now 8 or 9 seasons on the bounce. Only once ever, really, have we had any kind of a splurge, right? And that was Pellegrini, right?
yeah.
Pellegrini spent some money. Fair enough. They splashed out a bit for Pellegrini. That was the one time we ever did it. And now all of a sudden, because of that, all of a sudden we're in these financial dire straits. No wonder we had a fucking fire sale last summer, and we're trying to get millions and millions of pounds off the wage budget because we're doing it again this season, penny pinching, because we're so badly run that one little splurge in one summer, and all of a sudden the board are spending the next Christ knows how many transfer windows trying to recoup the money. We're selling players that we're not replacing just to get literally just to get wages off the books, so that they can try and recoup what was spent under Pellegrini. One time we did that, and now we're fucked. How is that possible for a team that's in the Premier League year on year with the money that's there? That we can't spend big one time without hamstringing ourselves financially. It's just terribly, terribly run from top to bottom. The whole thing is a shambles. If you look at any aspect of this club, point out to me an area of this club where we're really well run.
I can't think of one.
Training facilities are League One standard, and I don't mean the best League One standard either. Like middle of the road League One standard training facilities. No scouting system to speak of. When Pellegrini and Huslov left, they took all their scouting reports. They were on fucking paper. They just gathered them up, took them. No database. That was the intellectual property of West Ham, as it should have been. We should have a director of football that directs the club on the pitch. And even when we did have one, he was working for the fucking manager. Complete arse over elbow way of doing it, like. Everything this club does, they do it wrong. And I'll be honest, look, I have to talk about David Moyes too. Look, when we re-signed him last January, I was not, or late, sorry, whenever it was, December. When we re-signed him, I was not happy. I didn't want him back at the club. I didn't rate him as a manager. So obviously, very, very pissed off that we got him back in. Wasn't particularly impressed with him, second half of the season. Did a bit better after the lockdown, well enough to keep us up. So I'm no big fan of David Moyes, the manager, but
yeah,
I feel sorry for him.
You and I were talking earlier. If I'm Moyes and if we go on to sell Grady Diangana against the wishes of the manager and then they don't reinvest into the positions that he wants, if I'm David Moyes, I walk. I say, screw this. I don't want to deal with it. I'm done.
Yeah, it's an impossible job, because like I genuinely feel bad for the guy, and I tweeted about this earlier because like he's actually like a very decent man, and I think he's an honourable man. And I like David Moyes, the person. Don't particularly rate him as a manager, but I like him as a person. I think he is honourable. I think he is decent. Very likable guy. And he's trying to resurrect his managerial career, because it was on the slide in a big way, right? Things went very badly at United, very badly for him at Real Sociedad. Obviously, at Sunderland, things went very badly. It was, we gave him a 6-month job and then released him to bring in Pellegrini, brought him back. He kept us up again. So now he has like a full summer transfer window to work with, he thinks, and gets to start the season as a West Ham manager. And this is his first chance to really kind of resurrect his career. And I feel bad for him because you've got no chance working for Sullivan and Gold. You've got absolutely no chance. And if the reports are true that he does not want Grady Diangana sold because he wants to use him on the left midfield next summer, then I would not blame him for 1 second for walking out the door and saying, look, as much as I need this job, I can't fucking work like this. I would love nothing more. I would have nothing but respect for the man if he walked out and then literally just did an expose, do a press conference and tell the world what it's like to work for them fucking pricks.
Yeah.
And how it's an impossible job in a terribly run club with no scouting network, signings that are made between the chairman and his buddy fucking agents, players being sold against the manager's wishes, no money. I mean, the poor man, how the fuck is he supposed to succeed like this?
If he were to do something like that, he'd go down as one of the biggest West Ham legends. Like, just confirming everything we thought. But I want to go back to a message that Kieran actually sent. And it's true. With all this going on, what kind of a message have we sent to Rice?
That he's wasting his time at West Ham.
Yep.
West Ham is a club right now going nowhere, except maybe down. That's what we've told him. So whatever shred of optimism Rice may have had, that maybe West Ham can push on a bit, I think that's dead now. I think he has to know now that this is a club going nowhere and that his future lies elsewhere. Now, that does not mean that I think Declan Rice is going to put in a transfer request, or he's going to, or that all of a sudden he just wants to go like right now. But I think certainly Rice now knows in his head 100% that his long-term future is not at West Ham. That he will have to move on. If he's going to get anywhere in his career, he probably suspected that anyway. But the only thing that can save us now as regards Rice is a takeover, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this earlier too. The only way I see Rice staying long-term, even beyond this season, if not sooner, is if there is a change in ownership. And that's the only way. Because a new owner will come in and immediately start investing in. But with having that being said, all these rumors going around today as well about a potential bid coming in for the club itself. And basically, X's podcast has kind of put a damper on that idea that it doesn't. There's interest from America. There's interest from Qatar. There's interest from, I think he said Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But it does not appear that there's going to be any bids coming unless it's double what their value of the club is, which is already monumental, before 2023 at the absolute earliest. I just don't know if this club or this fan base can take another, in essence, 3 seasons. It's getting to a boiling point pretty damn quick, and something could happen here.
Yeah, I didn't really believe the bid rumors. I saw the YouTube clip.
Yeah, I didn't. all the guys in the chat who are in the AHTV official family can attest to it. I was saying I did a deep dive on the ITK account that the Spencer Owen was talking to. The guys tweeted 3 times since 2016, and even back then, the account was only being used to tweet at Spencer Owen and his family. So it was completely bullshit to begin with, but still.
Yeah, that guy has form. I knew from him previously he had form about saying this stuff. Um, I'm sure there is interest. I don't doubt there are interested parties. I know there's a US consortium. I assume that's the one that's led by Trip Smith, but I don't know for certain. And apparently, the Saudi group who were trying to buy Newcastle are interested, and some Qatari group. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing any bids anytime soon. I think it will be 2023. I don't think Sullivan and Gold are looking to sell right now anyway. And like you say, they overvalue the club anyway.
Yeah, I haven't seen this from Gary. I don't know what he's really referring to. It could be, but it's very highly unlikely that it's going to happen. Apparently, the board would be interested in bringing on another person to basically line the books, get transfers in, and then later on down the line, with it basically loaning the club to the person with a view to buy, so to speak. But I just don't. I don't know if anyone would want to touch it right now. I mean, the club is not in a good way financially. Uh, I mean, we should be, but of course, we're not run properly. We don't have a scouting network. We don't have any ambition whatsoever. We're willing to sell one of our better players for a cut rate to a Premier League opponent who may be a relegation candidate alongside of us. So I don't know why anyone would want this club right now.
No. Look, the main thing is it's overvalued, and we don't own a stadium. We don't have our own stadium, which doesn't help because the match day revenue is pathetic. So and there's no corporate. It's like pointless. So I think that will only happen. Any real bids that have any chance of success will only happen after we own the stadium and at least can hand over a stadium to somebody. So don't expect anything to happen soon. I think it will be at least 2023.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen by then? I mean, most fans are at their wits' end already. We've seen pitch invasions before. Who knows what the hell is going to be happening here now?
They should know. Look, I don't pretend that this will ever get back to Sullivan, anything we're saying or anything but they should know the whole COVID thing and fans not be allowed into matches right now is nothing more than a stay of execution.
Yep.
That's all this is. If they think they've gotten away with anything, they've got a fucking shock coming. Because as soon as this COVID thing is over and fans are allowed back in the stadium and large gatherings are allowed again, they're going to find out that fan feeling is as strong, if not stronger than ever. And that as a fan base, we are more determined than ever to get them fucking parasites out of our club, never to return. They are, and this is not hyperbole, they are the worst thing that's ever happened to West Ham. This would feel more like a temporary setback to the club if we were still at Upton Park. We could say, okay, look, it's only a matter of time, we'll get them out, new owners in, hopefully they'll be good owners for a change. But that's not the case. We left our Mecca on their promises that they were going to transform this club and have us challenge the top 6. That was what they said. They made promise after promise after promise, not just about the fucking stadium, which were mostly lies, but about the future that we could look forward to, a bigger, brighter, better future. And we are absolutely no better off. We have done nothing that we could not have done at Upton Park. They tore that place down on lies. We allowed them to do it for nothing. And that changes everything. Because I seriously won't be happy until them fucking arseholes are forced out of the club. Now, they think they're going to wait till 2023 and then just sell the club and walk off into the sunset with their millions upon millions of dollars. Well, I really, really hope that as a fan base, we can unite behind a single cause of forcing them to sell this club. I don't give a fuck if they have to sell it for £10. Don't give a shit. We need them out. Because I do not want to be sitting here in 2021 or in 2022 or 2023 still talking about those fucking pricks and what they're doing to our club and talking about how we're struggling to get back into the Premier League and we've got no money. We've had to sell all our players off cheap just to recoup money so we can survive and sign players from League One and Championship clubs to try and get back to the Premier League, because that's where we're headed. They need to go, like, right now, out the fucking door.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know the validity of this. I hope it's true, but apparently Gary's saying that there might be some protests starting again Saturday. So if that's the case, I mean, not even COVID, not even a pandemic can stop West Ham's hatred for this board. If there is one thing that has united this club is entirely just the hatred for the people who run it.
Yeah, GSB out, as you can see, I'm using it as my moniker. GSB out is like #1 trending on Twitter. I mean, it's just everywhere.
Yeah, I told you about this here in America. I mean, obviously, this channel was created for West Ham fans here in the States, but it doesn't mean that we're that numerous. You type into just the letter G on the search bar, on the hashtag search bar on Twitter, and it pops up as like the third option, which means to a degree it is trending here in the United States as well. So
yeah, 100%.
I mean, they're trying to outreach and get across the pond over here, drawing fans. They're not doing it. They're not doing it.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so at the moment, Hammers United are speaking to their lawyers about what the situation is with mass gatherings. You know, the legal side of things, to see, like, because, you know, we're all at the end of our tether now and patience has completely run dry. But our time of patience is over. We have to really make them realize now just how much we hate them. And really, we need to turn the screw and put massive, massive pressure on them now. And it has to be sustained until they go. So I think we're going to have to get out in the streets and get in their faces. We're going to have to protest. I don't give a shit if people protest outside their houses, outside the ground. They're very fucking lucky that crowds are not allowed into grounds, because I think fan feeling is so strong that fans could actually start ripping up the stadium. Like, I mean, genuinely, like, ripping up seats, advertising hoardings, everything. You know, that's how strongly the fans feel now. If there were fans allowed into the stadium now, it would make the Burnley protests look like a picnic. So that's how deep the feelings run right now. And you can imagine, I mean, this is over Grady Diangana. Now, not solely, but, you know, kind of straw that broke the camel's back kind of deal, right? So can you imagine what will happen if they accept the bid for Rice?
Well, I think the Rice, for me, that's a little different because we've been anticipating it. We're anticipating something to happen. And if their evaluation is met, if if we get 80 million, 90 million, that's kind of hard to say no to. I I don't want him to go. Right now though, you if it were to be like tomorrow Chelsea put in a bid on the back of Diangana also being sold, potentially sold. Oh, that stadium's done for. They're done for. But
Yeah.
if you take away the Diangana thing, you and I have been discussing this since the transfer window opened. What happens if and when a bid comes in for Rice? So I'm in the back of my mind, it's still possible. I think it's more likely than ever now. Someone mentioned it earlier though. If we're willing to sell Diangana for this much, how much are we? How true to our word are we that we're not going to listen to anything under 70 million? Or what if Chelsea would come in for 40 million tomorrow? You would hope that the board would say no, but they're going to make an argument that we need the cash.
I don't know. I don't think they would take 40. I think that would be low even for them. I think I think 50 million would tempt them, seriously tempt them. It's hard to know what their limit is for Rice. It's hard to know. Now, the reason I mentioned Rice is because, look, we all know Rice is going to move on at some point. But I think even if we got 80 million for Rice, I just think with the current mood of fans, even if we got really good money for him, I think fans would still be really pissed off because it would just be symptomatic again that we're still a selling club, and not just to Chelsea. I mean, we're selling our prized assets to West Brom. So the depth of feeling runs very, very deep right now, and I think losing Rice, even for the right money, would still be a depressing, annoying, angering thing for fans. Because who are we going to buy in? We're not going to. You can be absolutely fucking certain the board will not sanction another big money signing.
No,
they just won't. It's going to be players in the 10 to 15 million region that will buy something like that. A left back, centre back, whatever else. Ben Rama maybe comes in, whatever. There's not going to be any splash signings. We're going to be filling positions, padding the squad, and that's it. So we're going to lose Rice for that. And it just seems like a waste because what should be happening if we were a well-run club, and let's say we get 80 million for Rice, we should be in a position where we can bang out 40 million for two players.
yeah.
Each. To get really top-class players in two positions that we need them in. To really bring the team on and push us on to a higher level. But that's not how we're operated.
No.
It doesn't matter if we sell Rice for 80 million. It won't do shit for us.
As Lanzi says, it would magically disappear.
A chunk of it will, yeah. There's no way they give Moyes 80 million to spend. No way. Yeah. They might give him half of it. They might give him 50 million. They might give him 50, but they'll still use 30 on other things. They'll probably pay off Haller and all that. They might decide, fuck it, let's just get Anderson paid off for something. They'll just spunk it somewhere else. And what are we going to do with the 50 million? What's it going to do for us ultimately at the end of the day? Probably not very much.
Yep. So where do we go from here? It just seems like there's nothing. Like, I feel helpless. Like, obviously we can't do anything with regards to transfers. Like, we can't march into their office and say, spend money now. But I just feel so helpless, like watching a train wreck and not being able to do anything about
it. We can't physically walk into his office and get in his face. But like I said earlier, I'm absolutely certain they know what's going on social media today. I'm
They're
absolutely certain they
really
know,
shocked.
and and we have to wait and see if that has any impact. I hope it does. I hope they balk at it and think, Jesus Christ, we better pull out of this Diangana deal. This is going to be bad, but we'll see. But ultimately, all we can do is force them out of the club. As long as they're here, this is our life. As long as
Yeah,
they're here, this is how we're living. This is it. We know this. It's been going on for years. Only thing we can do is put massive, massive pressure on them, not just on social media, physically. We have to be out in the streets, mass gatherings. We have to get the likes of Sky Sports talking about it, Talk Sport, get them all talking about it,
yeah,
like we did before, because it was starting to really gain momentum. The COVID thing really fucking killed all the momentum that was gathering, and it was gathering at pace.
yeah,
So it left them off the hook, but only temporarily. So we need to ratchet that back up again. It's all we can do.
yeah. And one way to kind of get the message out there, if those protests do start back up this weekend, that's going to get some news.
Yeah.
That is going to get some news. I mean, Sky Sports would be talking about, because I mean, with COVID going on, I mean, there's not much else to talk about at times. But then you throw something like that in there, that's a nice juicy bone for the media. So
Yeah. And I really hope that fans who can attend make a point of doing so, because I think the last March there was about 8,000 odd, 8,500 people at that, which is a really good number. But we need to be getting more than that, hopefully. And I think the depth of feeling is strong enough now that we probably will. It would be amazing to get upwards of 10,000 people, 10,000 fans marching to get these people out, and we need to ratchet it up. It needs to be more in their face, So I hope we can do that, and let's see how it develops. But yeah, it's got to be done. They have to go. They just have to go now. That's it. I'm done with them. The whole fan base, I think, is just done with them. They've got to go.
I'd be
End of
willing to
story.
take all of every single, like, if it were possible, every single West Ham fan, and see what the percentage of all West Ham fans who actually enjoy the board is. I'd say it's less than 1%.
Yeah, it's tiny. Well into the 90% is just like for people who just want them to go right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, we could go on and on about this. I mean,
Yeah. Sorry,
this,
Chris. Just to get back to Moyes a second, because I wanted to say something earlier about Moyes. Like, I'm backing the guy this season, because I like him as a person, and he's given a fucking awfully hard job by the board, to progress the club forward from last season. But and my expectation, as you know, is for us to not have a great season. I think we'll be in a relegation dogfight again. And I'll tell you no word of a lie. I will not blame Moyes for it. I just won't. I will not blame Moyes if we have a season where we're struggling to survive, because it's just not on. It's not on fucking the managers anymore, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think any manager has a chance at this club right now.
You're right. Really quickly to answer this, obviously they might have just joined Diddy. No, there's very little possibility, unfortunately, unless something were to happen. So, I mean, but I wholeheartedly agree that there's little to no chance of any manager succeeding right now. I mean, not even that. I mean, Moyes is the best we've got because he's so cheap. But on top of that, what manager is going to want to come here? And as much as I love the fan base, I mean, we can be toxic at times towards the team. But this is an instant where we're not toxic towards the team. It's the board because of their lack of trust. So, I mean,
Listen, this was going on before the lockdown, the
yeah,
protests, and the protests went off. There was 8,500 people there before the game. Went off absolutely fine. And then those fans who were marching and protesting went into the stadium and got 100% behind the team and the manager. That's a fact. So this isn't about Moyes, and it's not about really the players. This is all about upstairs. And as long as we keep our focus on upstairs and continue, and it's very important that we actually continue to support Moyes and the players on the pitch.
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, because it just keeps the message for the media that West Ham discontent, our anger, is not at the players, it's not at David Moyes. It's all directed at the boardroom because of their mismanagement of the club. And it's very important that we keep that distinction so that we don't give them an excuse to say, oh, well, we lost some games because the fans are on the manager and the players' backs all the time. And the fans are going to get us relegated. We can't give them that excuse. So the fans still have to, when they can, go into the stadium, support the manager, support the players, shout them on, cheer them on, get behind them. But equally, our vitriol has to be always directed upstairs. So there's no excuse for the board. They can't blame us for results or because we're in a relegation struggle. It would be clear to everybody still that it's because of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, like I said, we can go on and on about this.
And probably will at a later date.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially what I was going to say is more than likely we will have our normal show on Friday, probably around the same time. One little thing I'll throw out there too is I've always talked about how I'm doing an Excel sheet with how many players we're linked to. I will actually show on stream the list when we get back on Friday. I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat. I know almost everyone is as pissed as we are.
But hey, there's one other thing I forgot to mention. It's entirely possible Grady Diangana will simply just refuse to agree terms with West Brom. He can just not accept their terms and say, no, I'm going to stay here, thanks. I would love it if he did that. Absolutely love it if he did that.
Yeah. I mean, it would stick it to the board. I mean, that's one thing that will definitely happen for it. So I'm hoping we have some more news on that front by Friday. If not, I mean, it's just going to be a normal show. Probably some more rants. I love the ranting episodes.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have more developments by Friday.
Yeah. But listen, thank you all, as always, mate, for joining me. Thank you for everyone joining us in the chat. And then until Friday, then, come on, you Irons, and GSB
come on, you Irons. Get the fuck out.